This is the Charles Van Morgan Show. As I get my microphone adjusted here. So we'll wait just a minute for everybody to come on board. Thank you, the Charles Van Morgan Show. Welcome, welcome. Got a great show for you today. Welcome. Come on board. We'll let you look at the beautiful view. Got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the Tennessee judiciary stealing your money. Yes, you heard that correctly. U.S.-wide, the Tennessee judiciary is involved in an elaborate scheme, conspiracy to steal your money, your tax money. U.S.-wide, Tennessee judges pocket your tax money. And we're going to talk about that this morning. Come on board. Welcome. You're listening to the Charles Van Morgan Show. As you look at the beautiful view, and we're going to present a case today against the Tennessee judiciary, calling a lot of them thieves. I'm going to point out names, dates, places, and times. Explicate this. That's the word for it. Explain. Welcome. Great show for you today. We'll go down and look at the beautiful Tennessee flag. Quickly make our way to the signature location that we have on the show. So welcome. We'll wait for people to come on in. We're going to explain the elaborate scheme of Tennessee judges that steal your tax money. They make it legal to take your tax money. Nationwide, everybody in the United States ought to be mad at the Tennessee judiciary. For the most part, we're going to tell you why. Explain it to you, explicate it. Come on board. Welcome. You're watching the Charles Van Morgan Show. So welcome. Let's see if we got anybody in here. A few people. You're watching the Charles Van Morgan Show. We're going to talk to you today about the judiciary in the state thieving. You know, we're real worried about street thugs stealing your money, lying, fraud, deception, all kinds of ways people use to steal your money. You know, turning back a speed mileage odometer on a car, and people involved in theft in so many ways. But the judiciary is squeaky clean, right? They adjudicate fairly in the state of Tennessee. No, they don't. So they trained me to be a lawyer and won't give me a law license. So maybe a little bit unusual, but I'm a fighter. We're going to explain how to present a case against them. They trained me how to do this. How do they like it now? So they have no control over me other than the First Amendment, other than crimes, because they can allege that I am committing a First Amendment crime, which there is none, unless you state lawless intimate actions or defamation. None of this is defamation or lawless intimate action. Inciting lawless intimate action. So here, as you look at the American flag, come on board. Got a great show. We're talking about the thieves in robes. They don't want me doing that, do they? Talking about thieves in robes. Wow, imagine that. And I'm not talking about the street criminals. I'm going to talk about the criminals that wear robes. that are much more dangerous than your average street criminal. And they are in government power. So we're going to explicate that, present a case to you how judges steal your tax money. And if you're in another state, you need to listen to this, because we got several instances where we're going to show you, present the case. You don't have to come to Tennessee to be robbed of your tax money. You can be in California. And I know Tennesseans love to say, don't bring your California to Tennessee, because they consider people out there liberal. And they don't want that liberal here in Tennessee, because they don't want Tennesseans to be outnumbered and people to start voting liberal. There are liberal agendas out there. There's a lot of good people in California that aren't liberal, that believe in sound beliefs. They don't believe in mutilating little children while they're minors, and their sex changes and stuff. So Tennessee likes to say, the establishment tell you, don't bring your California to Tennessee, because people are moving in here every day. You know, there's a governor's commercial where he's telling you that, and let's keep Tennessee, Tennessee. Yeah, they want to keep it Tennessee because Tennessee judges are robbing Californians. Now, just moving here, bringing liberal views, I mean, we can convert them on some of the stuff, outvote them, but Californians have more right to be angry at Tennessee than Tennessee does for Californian people bringing liberal views in here, because Tennessee has judges that are stealing Californians' money all across the United States. And we're going to explain it to you why. We're going to drill down to the facts and show you exactly how the Tennessee judiciary are doing this. Now, I like doing this type of show, because the judiciary in Tennessee want to steal your money, and they do it every day in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to tell you a specific way. And they don't want anybody to call them out for it. They don't want my side known, and it's your side. It's your tax money. If you don't want to hear it, turn off the show and keep paying these dirty judges. They have a side that they publish in their fake rulings. A lot of them fake. Every day they write opinions out, and they have the authority of law. Well, let's talk about the judiciary, how they steal money. My opinion, which is fact, they steal your tax money. Every state in the United States pays, citizens pay taxes to Tennessee judiciary, and they get it unjustly, I believe. It needs to stop. It's a cover-up. We're going to explain that cover-up, because Tennessee judges get student loan money. They get federal student loan money from every state that pays taxes in the United States of America, and that includes every state. And the judiciary in Tennessee doesn't like me saying that. They don't like me giving you this position. I know they don't. They don't like the freedom of speech, the First Amendment. They want the First Amendment, and they want your money, your tax money, and they're getting it, every bit of your tax money. They just don't want you to know about it. They want to rob you blind. They want to talk about the street thug that steals a few $100s, a few $1,000s. They don't want to talk about the $1 trillion student loan debt. They want you to blame that on the students that don't pay back the loans. They don't want you to follow the money to the fruition. It's in these dirty judges' pockets in the state of Tennessee. They want their name to be lifted up and praised. They are so beautiful, wonderful, honest, just people. And they're some of the richest people in the state of Tennessee. And where'd they get that money at? Hard work, dedication, adjudication, judiciously, fairly across the state of Tennessee? Hell no, and they hate for me to say this, I'm gonna say it. For the majority of people in Tennessee, and I've got a right to say it, soldiers shed their blood to protect the Constitution, so that I can say this, dirty Tennessee judiciary. If you don't like it, we can read your rulings. We know what you say. A lot of it is pure false, against natural laws, and a judge in Tennessee adjudicates it's true, even though it's against physics And while they're stealing your money to do it, they're thieves. Tennessee judges, for the most part, are dirty thieves. They don't like me saying that. This side needs to get out because it's the truth. You adjudicate for yourself. So we're going to talk about that today. Draw you a line. Every state in Tennessee, listen to this. You ought to be mad at the Tennessee judiciary. And I'm not saying like them, they're violent people. The judges in Tennessee are violent. I mean, they do stuff that is wrong, that hurts people physically. And I'm not asking for you to do that. I'm asking for you to listen to me, the truth, how they steal your money, consider it. And it's true, it's fact. It's science, it's math. They're stealing tax money in Tennessee. And call people in Tennessee, US-wide, and even if you don't live here, you're subject to paying taxes to Tennessee judges. Your tax money that you pay into your state, federal taxes, goes straight, almost directly into the pockets of Tennessee judges. They're stealing it. They run a bank that's a bank set up for them. They've got a debit card. They don't even have to go to the schools that they allegedly represent and get that student loan money illegitimately, wrongly. They don't have no right to it. They don't work for it. They don't deserve it. Their big fancy name power doesn't give them the right to steal your money, and they do it. So every state in the United States, even if you don't live here, you have a stake in elections in Tennessee. And if you think you can't do anything about it, I get it, you can. You can call people in Tennessee. If you know them, call them, tell them, hey, there's this man named Charles Van Morgan, apparently unafraid, unintimidated by the judicial power, claims that the judges in Tennessee are stealing our money and stealing your money. Even in Tennessee, they're stealing your federal tax money. So go vote for me. I live in California in the elections. Get rid of the people in power in the government by voting. See, that's the difference between me and the Tennessee judiciary. They want your money without having to work for it through surreptitious means, through the system that they've got set up. I mean, if a judge adjudicates it's not a crime, it's not a crime, is it? Even though it hurts you. They got a real good system rigged up, don't they? A real good criminal syndicate. And, wow, getting some dirty looks. And I think I'm unaffected by their people's baloney. I'm trying to help you learn that people in Tennessee and the judiciary are stealing your money. Everybody in the United States ought to be mad at them, not hurt them. I don't want you to hurt them, I want you to vote them out. They run in a retention election, don't even have anybody running against them to say this stuff. And if anybody does run for judiciary, there's nobody running against them. So let me be the person that says, vote them out. Who's ever not in is better than the ones that are in. They have a retention election. If you're in another state, call people in Tennessee and ask them to vote the judiciary out of office. They're stealing our money. They're stealing your money. Tell them you can participate. You have a stake in Tennessee elections because Tennessee is taking your money without you even having to vote. So the least you can do is call every state in the United States. If you know somebody in Tennessee, even if you don't, call them, tell them, hey, get involved in politics in Tennessee by going to vote people out of office. They're stealing our money. And if you think that's not bad enough, they're stealing your money, I'm going to explain to you directly how. The judiciary in Tennessee is stealing your money. Theft. Those student loan money. Because the student loan program is a federal program where all taxpayers pay into that $1 trillion industry. The student loan is trillions of dollars. We could literally take a good shot at the national deficit if these Tennessee judges would stop stealing and adding to the deficit. And they're getting it through student loan money. Students aren't getting, everybody's mad at students. They're not getting the money. They're getting, in a lot of cases, a worthless education. And the money goes to the judges. And we'll explain that to you, draw a line for you straight to the judiciary. And if that weren't bad enough, they can also, other states, you got a stake in Tennessee elections. I'm telling you, if you live in California, if you live in New York, if you live in Florida, and the governor is running down the officials in, hello, in California, in New York, saying, come to Tennessee. Yeah, come to Tennessee, telling businesses come to Tennessee because they have a liberal mayor in New York. Yeah, come to Tennessee and vote in the governor's race and get rid of the establishment here. That's what you need. Or if you live in New York, call Tennesseans and tell them, hey, vote for us up here because you all are stealing our money. By proxy, you're stealing our money. You're allowing it to go on. You're even fools because you're voting for these people establishing power that are going to continue to prop up this $1 trillion deficit that's causing the country to fall apart. It's not being put into stuff that helps you with roads and bridges and money that's useful. Wow, almost 300 people in here. It's being put into the pockets of the Tennessee judiciary that's held to a higher standard. You believe that? You believe Tennessee judiciary is held to a higher standard? They say they're held to a higher standard while they're robbing you. It's like a bank robber going into a bank, holding a gun to your head and saying, I'm not a thief, I'm held to a higher standard. Well, we got trapped in the road here. Yeah, don't hit me. Saying they're being held to a higher standard. I'm held to a higher standard even though I'm holding the gun to your head. They're not held to a higher standard. They're thieves. They're thieves. Words don't mean anything. It's actions, and they're stealing your money. They're not held to a higher standard. There should be, because they take an oath and they violate that oath. So you're watching the Charles Van Morgan show. You won't hear this stuff anywhere else. Very dangerous stuff to say. I'm talking about very powerful people. That's why nobody else does it. So the least you can do is hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, because you're going to hear some things they don't want me to say. I know they don't. They've literally wrote it down. Don't say that, man. Why not? Why not? They lie on you every day in their court rulings. Why can't we tell the truth about them from somebody who has a advanced education in criminology? I'll tell you who the criminals are. You shouldn't worry about the regular thug running around here as much as you should the surreptitious Tennessee judge that robs you blind from behind the bench. And we're going to show you exactly how they do it. It's a criminal conspiracy made legal by them, and they steal money all over the United States. Call Tennessee. And if that's not bad enough, they're stealing your money. I mean, it's one thing that you have to live in poverty with your roads broken and your systems in government not functioning. Very dangerous to you. The state of Tennessee has fallen. We are a war zone. It is horrific. And it's not outside enemies, Iran, that's bombing Tennessee, that's stealing your money. It's not the $1 billion that supposedly Iran's going to get. It's the trillions that people that sit on your judiciary, on your benches in the state of Tennessee, for the most part, are putting in their pockets. And your roads aren't being fixed, and your children aren't being educated because the tax money is going to the judges in the state of Tennessee, and everybody's mad at the students. Wow, isn't it wonderful how they run that smoke screen? These students ought to pay back their student loans. Well, they should, but they ought to get what they pay for too. And if you want them to pay it back, they don't have the money. Follow the money to fruition, and we're going to draw you the line where the money goes. It doesn't go to streets. It doesn't go to competition against them. It goes in the Tennessee judiciary's pocket. Now, they don't want me saying this because they want you to vote for them so they can keep stealing your money, and their kids after them can become judges and keep stealing your money and keep you out of the loop. Well, I'm telling you to break their loop at the polls. Nobody puts out this side of it. We want to praise these wonderful, great people while they're robbing from you. And nobody says it because they're afraid to. They're intimidated. Well, God put me on the planet, taught me a few lessons. I'm not intimidated by these people now. I'm cautious. These people are dangerous, very dangerous people. And they want your money, and they're going to get it however they have to. And I'm speaking, frankly, of the Tennessee judiciary at the very top. Tennessee Supreme Court injustices is what they are. They have a long history, a bloodline of stealing, and they continue to steal. We're going to explain it to you. And if that weren't bad enough, the theft, that's minute on the list, but we're going to spell it out to you how they steal. That's minute on the list. They're also dangerous to you in the fact that they will write out a death warrant. They'll try to kill you. You say, well, I've got to commit a crime. I got to commit a murder and be on death row and be justly adjudicated in their courts. What part of justly adjudicated in their courts do you not understand? What part do you think that's going to happen? People that are stealing your money, you think they're honest people? People that are stealing tax money all over the United States of America? And that's a small thing. Even trillions of dollars, nothing is worth somebody's soul, somebody's life. So they will also get a death warrant for you, put you on death row, try to kill you. That's Tennessee judiciary will do that to you. You say, well, where's the evidence of that? They always say that about Trump. He alleges that the blue outside the renovation that he did without evidence, somebody's tearing it. They always say without evidence. Well, Charles Van Morgan is alleging with evidence that the Tennessee judiciary steals your tax money all over the United States of America. Illegitimately, it's not right. It's a minute thing. I'm alleging that the Tennessee judiciary will write out a death warrant for you. Not just in Tennessee, in another state. You say, well, I've never been to Tennessee. Well, they'll write out a death warrant for you, put you on death row in Tennessee, even if you've never been to Tennessee. So you don't have to be to this state. They will write out a death warrant and go get you and bring you to Tennessee. So California, Texas, New York, Tennessee makes fun of you. They laugh at you, call you all stupid and liberal, while they're here laughing. The judiciary writing you off as liberal, getting elected, stealing your money, writing out death warrants for you in another state, although you've never been here. That literally happened. We'll name you the name of the man that was on death row. Death row, who never been to Tennessee. Witnesses said that. Wasn't in Tennessee at the time of the crime. They put him on death row, got a death warrant for him. So you tell me, I'd be calling Tennesseans and say, hey, my money it's bad enough you're taking my money. And Charles Van Morgan explained it to me how they're doing it. But to be able to come up here, send officers up here and drag us back to Tennessee and put us on death row, and I've never been to Tennessee for a murder that occurred in Tennessee, that's pretty horrific. And he spelled out a specific case where that actually happened, and he's telling me that although maybe a minute possibility, it is possible. I mean, they'll get their enemies from anywhere. So call people in Tennessee. Get involved in the election, even if you're out of state. You have a right to talk to whoever you want to and tell them what's going on in the state of Tennessee. You won't hear this anywhere else. The Charles Van Morgan Show. Subscribe to the show. And we're headed to our signature location, hopefully, if we make it. It is very dangerous just being out here on the street and taking a chance. Depending on what happens, we may need to rearrange things a little bit. I do listen to the news and watch things that are going on and put simple logic to it. And don't listen to the lies. Listen to what the facts are telling you, and then sort out what normally happens in the course of events. And listen to somebody who's actually been on the scene can tell you what happened before you form an opinion. And I've been on the scene. I'm going to tell you what happens in these Tennessee courtrooms and these Tennessee judges that I know some of them personally. I have met them. I'm not impressed. They're very rich, gated communities. They own the whole damn communities. They own their own cities inside of Tennessee. Some of these legislators and some of these people in public power, they own their own country inside Tennessee. Similarly, I believe, they're not even part of America. I wonder what their flag is. They probably won't tell you. They're lying thieves. We're going to tell you how that happens. This road is highly dangerous. About 2 miles from where I do my show, the signature location, there were 3 people killed that were pedestrians. 2 people were pedestrians, one was the driver of the car. So just being out on the road is highly dangerous. So I'm well aware that pedestrians get killed by by cars. So what I'm doing is dangerous. We may rearrange things depending on how it gets and how dangerous it gets. But on Broadway, just about 2 miles from where I stand, 2 people on a sidewalk got ran over and killed about 2 days ago. So this is dangerous work in more ways than one. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. I'm just telling you that this is dangerous all the way around. And just the other day, let me say a word about this, because it's important to me, because some people think about things wrong. I'm gonna tell you how I think about it. Just the other day, and it's on the news, the mayor was with the LGBTQ can you get any more noisy? The LGBT community holding up a sign in support of them in the community. And people are gonna think that I'm against that. And while I believe in my Christian beliefs, I do not condone mistreating other people because they don't agree with me. So I applaud the mayor for standing up for the rights of all people in Knoxville in the state of Tennessee. Now, a lot of Christian people ain't gonna agree with that. They think I'm condoning a lifestyle that they consider is inappropriate. And while I may, and you may too, you have no right to have a form of government that punishes people for being and judging them. And a lot of churches do, they judge them. A lot of churches, I bet if you were LGBTQ and all the alphabet soup, you wouldn't be allowed in their church, which holding a position in power in something they don't believe in is one thing, but allowing them to come into your church, that's another thing. They should be allowed in your church to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, because I'm not their judge, and you all are not either. God is the judge. So I literally thank the mayor for being all inclusive as far as the government is concerned, as far as our rights. Those people have First Amendment rights and they shouldn't be punished. And quite frankly, a lot of them are mistreated because they don't live the same way as you or Christian people do. And I don't agree with that. I don't judge them. Now, I judge myself. I live according to, try to, how Holy Scripture tells me to live. But as far as loving these people and allowing them the rights that I have, absolutely. So it's a good thing that the mayor stood up with LGBTQ community. Now, a lot of Christians won't do that. So you judge them at your own risk. I don't. They have rights as citizens just like me. And I agree with that. So there you go about that. That's my position on that. And I don't judge them. A lot of people have people that are in that community that are relatives, friends, family, uncles. A lot of people are part of people's families, and we love them people. I'm not saying I disagree with the lifestyle or how they live or things they do, and the things they do wrong, they ought to be punished for just like everybody else. But I do agree with loving those people, and they have the same constitutional rights as I do, and that ought to be protected. So there you go. But today we're talking about something much worse than that subject. Just want to take a little detour because some of the people hate me or part of that community, and you have no reason to hate me. I don't hate you. I think you have a First Amendment right just like me, and applaud the mayor for standing up for your constitutional rights. If in fact that's all she's doing, and being in support of that community in the government to allow them peace and freedom is fine with me. A lot of people won't do that. But I will leave them alone, preach the gospel to everybody, regardless if you judge them or not, and you shouldn't judge them. So what we're talking about this morning is we're talking about the government people, the judges, Tennessee judiciary, the dirty judiciary in Tennessee, stealing your tax money through the federal student loan program. And a lot of people, when I've heard it on, when I was campaigning several years ago, a lady specifically asked me what I felt about the government paying people's federal student loan money off, and the government helping students by reducing payments or sometimes eliminating their federal student loans. And I told her, quite frankly, they ought to follow the money to the fruition. The students don't have that money. The judiciary in Tennessee has that money in their pockets. As that money goes to their houses and their children. And they're stealing tax money from the judiciary. That's where the money's at. Follow the money all the way out to fruition. It's not in the students' hands. Now, they got money from the federal student loan program to some of them to go to law schools. It's $1 trillion industry. It's breaking the backs of taxpayers. And it's not the students. People blame the students. But look where the money goes. The money goes to the judiciary in Tennessee for law schools. And we're going to spell out the math for you. So a student gets a loan, pays to go to law school. It's federally insured, so it's tax money. So if there's a default in that, if the government can't call back the money from the student because they don't have it for whatever reason, they're poor anyway, or they wouldn't have to get a loan, then you and me pay for the default in the student loans. Trillions of dollars that we are responsible for. It's federally tax-funded, approved, subsidized federal student loan money. And everybody's blaming the students. And that lady on the campaign trail, when she asked me specifically what I thought about that, it was in the news, and it's in the news now because students are getting ready to have to start repayment of their student loans because the Biden stall of that, he tried to eliminate it completely. That would have helped his rich buddies out because no one would have went after where the money's at. The stall of that is over, and they're going to have to start paying back federal student loan money. And people say, students borrowed the money, I'll have to pay it back. But think a little more about that student loan program, because the money doesn't end up in the pockets of the students. They get that money, and then they pay these colleges and universities to go sit in class and learn how these judges think about the law and the laws that they wrote, and it's so beautiful and wonderful for them. There's nothing in the law that penalizes them for anything they do. In fact, they've given themselves completed judicial immunity. That's not in the Constitution. That's in their own case law opinions. You can't sue a sitting judge for a violation of the law or wrong adjudication of fact in your case. They can decide whatever the hell they want to, and you can't sue them even if it's wrong. They've written that in the law. They've also made it legal for them to set up a bank. People think it's a student loan bank so that students can be educated and live a better life and make society prosperous. It's not. It is a bank that Tennessee judiciary has set up, and quite frankly all over the United States, to put tax money in. Your tax money goes directly from the taxpayer into a bank for the Tennessee judiciary. And the bank is called Student Loan Fund, is what it's named, but it's actually a judiciary bank that's free money for them and their families and whoever else they want to give it to. That's free tax money. Imagine you had a bank where taxpayers put the money in and you did nothing. You did nothing, and you had a debit card. You probably never even went to the law school, had your name on the door, and you had a debit card, and you went and spent $600,000 a year without having to lift a damn finger on the taxpayer's bill. That's what the judiciary does, I'm telling you. They're stealing your money through the tax program. And now everybody's mad at the students. They'll have to pay back that $2 trillion. Well, let me tell you, they don't have it. That's the reason they had to borrow it in the first place. They were poor. They don't set the tuition rate. They don't set the agenda, which is an agenda all about Tennessee judges. They are going through the established measures and procedures to try to benefit society. Some of them to try to fight for people like you that are drugged into Tennessee without even being here and given a capital warrant for, because they're trying to get a law degree like me to fight the government using the Constitution. So they get a federal student loan like I have, and I'm not in default of my federal student loan, but I don't have that federal student loan money. Judiciary in Tennessee has it, and I'll give you the names of the people that have my money in their pocket. While I can't even use the education that they gave me because they won't license me. You think about this, and a lot of people thought this was strange. I get all the way through law school while I'm paying them money, paying them federal student loan money, get all the way through law school. Ooh, big tough guy. Yeah, pull out a cigarette. But they get all the way through. I got all the way through law school. A lot of students do get all the way through law school, paying them money. Oops. Paying them money. Wow, I get all the way through law school, paying them money. That's good. They'll let me go to law school. You have to fill out an application. I'll fill out an application, put everything on there I need to put on the law school application, that I was wrongly fired from the Tennessee Highway Patrol or other people, whatever circumstance they have, put it on the law school application. One of them right now put on his law school application that he is a convicted felon, and Judge Koch accepted him to law school. He's sitting right beside him, and he mentions that he didn't think he could get in law school because he's got a felony on his record, and he's sitting beside Dean Koch, and Dean Koch allowed him in his law school because he's given Dean Koch money to pay for the classes. So it doesn't matter your circumstance, and I've never been convicted of any crime, and I was wrongly terminated from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Now they want me to say the judiciary was right in the wrong decision that they made, but they weren't. They weren't right. They were wrong. It's against laws of science and physics. They allowed perjury and fraud in their Tennessee courtroom while they're pocketing my money. So they let students into court in law school with horrific past that are dishonest people, and they should never get in law school. And the Tennessee judiciary knows, and the Tennessee judiciary is the one that's letting them in law school because they're the ones that are deans of the law schools. They retire from the Tennessee Supreme Court and then get jobs, retirement jobs, and they're not really jobs, they're just names on the door, that take federal student loan money. So they retire from a high-paid Supreme Court justice and get deans over law schools so that they can collect more tax money from people that are less affluent than them, and they're only affluent because they just served Tennesseans and ruled for the power. So Judge Koch is a former Tennessee Supreme Court justice, Chief Justice. So he's sitting right beside this convicted felon, and obviously he lets him in law school because when you're in law school, you're paying them money. So they'll let you go into law school, accept your application with all the bad on it, whatever, because you're going to give them money. If they don't accept you, they don't get money. So obviously they're going to accept you into law school. So I go all the way through law school, and a lot of people this happens to, get all the way through law school, pay a lot of student loan money to these judges, and they love it. They won't kick you out of law school. They love you getting that money, taking federal tax money from Californians, because you're in law school, they're deans of the school, they get a salary from the school. The salary from the school is pretty sickening. If you think it's a day's pay for a day's work, you'd be extremely, on the far south end, disappointed. They get $600,000 a year, more than $500,000 a year, some of them. And because they have their name on the door, because of the clout that carries with them from retired from the Tennessee Supreme Court justice. And it's happening all over the nation. Trillions of dollars stolen by these judges using their name. Their name's on doors taking your tax money. The students get the tax money from you, give it to these deans to educate them. Sure, the deans let them in law school. They get a lot of money while they're in law school. Then, when they get out and graduate, 4 years, some 5 years to get through law school. It's 3 if you're rich and your daddy or mama pays your way in a BMW through law school. You can get through law school in 2.5 years if you're rich. But if you have to work while you're going, sometimes it takes 4 and 5 years. It takes sometimes 7 or 8 years to get through law school, pass the bar, and be able to try to get a license and practice law to reap some of that money back, about 7 or 8 years. So you spend all that time and money paying them with your money, your student tax money. That's where the money comes from to pay the high tuition. Tuition is, you get through law school, you've got a $160,000 bill that you got to pay back. Now, you should be able to make the money back in helping defend criminal defendants. So welcome. So like, share, comment. You should be able to pay the money back when you're licensed. But the huge problem with the Tennessee judiciary is they want you to go to law school. They will let you in. They let a lot of people in. Some people they let in that can't pass tests, can't do law school. They let them in the door. Why? Because they'll pay 1 or 2 semesters. And a semester at Lincoln Memorial University, Duncan School of Law, when I went there over 10 years ago, a base semester, because I was working when I was going, just taking 12 hours, which is considered full-time. If you take more classes, it's more, is $30,000. So they'll let you in the door. You might fail out in one semester, but they pocketed $30,000. Now, you can't pay it back. A lot of times you have to default on the loan. They take it out of your paycheck. But who does it go to? It goes to the Supreme Court injustice. Because Gary Wade's a former Supreme Court injustice that retired from the bench, had his name on the door at Duncan Memorial School of Law and collected your tax money. Collected California's tax money. So, hello. So it's a theft ring. So they'll let you in law school, collect all this student loan money, buku bucks of it. You want to go to law school? They advertise. Come to law school. Come to our law school. Even if you got a felony, whatever, they do commercials. Surreptitiously telling you, if you got a felony, come on. Come on, get student loan money, pay us. Pay us money. Pay us a bunch of money. But then if you are like me and you're tenacious and you can work, and I worked my way through law school. And I had to borrow $30,000 in student money, and I also paid my own money. But if you're tenacious and you will stick it out and graduate because you want your law license to help the public, like lawyers are supposed to, they're supposed to be honest people and help the public. And you stick it out and pass tests and study and spend 7 or 8 years of your life paying them to get educated. And then you go pass the bar exam, which is the high water mark of the standard all across the United States in being able to be a lawyer. You pass the bar exam, you can be a lawyer, but they have a way out. They call it a character and fitness thing, where they deny you. You're not, after 7 years, you are fit to give them money for 7 years. You pay the board that turns you down money to sit there and tell you no. And then you can't practice law. And I'm not defaulted, but a lot of people default on the loan, trillions of dollars. And it goes to the judges, and they don't have to pay it back. They don't have to pay it back, and the student can't pay it back in a lot of cases, or pays it back very slow. So who's stuck on the bill? You are. Californians that Tennessee makes fun of. I'm not making fun of him. I'm saying Tennessee's ripping you off. You ought to be mad at Tennessee. And when we get to our signature location, we're going to give you names, dates, and times. So the student loan criminal syndicate perpetrated by Tennessee judges ought to be stopped. And it is through the judiciary retiring from the bench. They get appointed to the bench because of power, and they're related to people. And they steal student loan money from all over the United States. They're thieves. The Tennessee judiciary is thieves. They've just written it into law that they can do that. It's the biggest welfare for nothing program you've ever heard of, worth trillions of dollars. The food stamp program's not worth trillions of dollars. The judicial welfare program, theft program of your tax money is worth trillions of dollars. If we got rid of that one program and not got rid of students getting educated, got rid of where the money's at, got rid of the masked robber that we don't know who they're at. I'm telling you who they are. They're the judiciary. They're the people in robes that are going in the back hallways making this stuff legal for them to steal money. They let students go all the way through law school collecting their money. They know their history. When they're in law school, they don't care then because they're getting paid. But when they graduate past the bar, then it's a little different story. Then they're not paying the judiciary anymore. They're competing with the judiciary, because some of the people in the judiciary, although they're not supposed to, in most instances, are practicing law. They don't want you to set up a law office right beside them. Now, when you were paying them money, you didn't have a law office. You were paying them money for them educating you. And they got their job educating you because of former acquaintances, not because of their honesty sometimes, because some of their law business, you have a sign out too. You're going to open up a Kentucky Fried Chicken right beside their McDonald's. And they've taught you how to run that program because they went to put you through the McDonald's school. Then you want to open up your own Kentucky Fried Chicken after you know how to do it across the street. And they're like, no, you can't do that. But I paid you to train me. No, you can't practice law now because it's something in your character they allege falsely. And they allege it falsely. It's not nothing in your character. It's a cover for their thievery in more ways than one. Barbara Zulica, look it up, said I had a flaw in my character. I don't have a flaw in my character. I'm as honest as they come. I've never been convicted of any crime. That's the problem with them. I'm honest. I have a history of protecting the public. They have a history of mass fatalities on Tennessee roadways. Just the other day, about 48 hours ago, about this time in the morning, 2 people walking on the sidewalk were killed. Mass fatalities on their roadways that they have law enforcement. They've got the scales of justice. They control things. When I was in control of that by doing what I could, the roads were a lot safer. Barbara Zulica was stealing money, theft, deceptive theft, at the time that she said I had adjudicated I had a flaw in my character and refused to give me a law license. Why? To compete against her. To compete against her and her flunkies that were in her rigged courtroom too. And I got student loan money. So in effect, they stole the student loan money, and they do it on large scale, worth trillions of dollars all across the state of Tennessee, all across the United States, steal taxpayers' money from Tennessee. Their little bank they got set up to rob your tax money under the pretext of educating students. They'll educate you all day long, but when it comes to competing with them, getting a law license, they call you not a person that's honest, while they're deceitfully stealing money, not only your federal student loan money, stealing from their government employer. And she's a convicted felon, although not on her record. Now that's a judge that adjudicated that something's wrong with my character. Imagine how rigged that is. So, Dean Koch, former Tennessee Supreme Court unjustice, who wrote laws as the Supreme Court justice, had influence over the whole court, is now dean of the National School Law. According to the numbers I was able to obtain, makes about $260,000 a year. A lot of that, while National School Law doesn't directly take federal student loan money, a lot of students come there that already have student loan debt, transfer because that school costs a lot less. So in effect, he's still getting student loan money, and he's still getting money from poor students. And then after you graduate, he won't help you get a law license, but he'll help you in the door in his office to go in there and pay the tuition every month. You're good enough to go to his school while you're paying him, but you're not good enough under his rules to practice law after you get out, even though the same facts applied. The different facts are he's not benefiting from it anymore. The dirty Tennessee judiciary is not benefiting from the poor students anymore. So they hang them out, and the whole public is mad at them for the $1 trillion debt that they don't have. The judiciary has it. So they're stealing money. So it's foggy out here today, as we almost have 300 people like, share, comment. We have 300 people here. And thank y'all for showing up. Thank y'all for caring. Thank y'all for listening. A lot of haters on here. And I got a lot more powerful haters than some of the people mocking me on here. So if you think I pay attention to that, you got another thing coming. And I'll tell you what, if I'm not afraid to fight them, you think I'm afraid of you, you best not mess with this toy, because I'm not a toy. I mean what I say, and a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So there's a lot of firepower politically behind this little agenda, and it's not stopping. So, and all you're doing is helping by your posting bad stuff. And I appreciate all the people on here. Thank you. God bless you all for listening to Unbridled News, Other Side of the Story. And we're going to talk about the names, dates, and places. So, Judge Koch, retired from the Supreme Court of the state of Tennessee. Went to his law school, collect my money. Then when it comes to me practicing law against him, competing against him and his flunkies, I'm not good enough to practice law. And other students. Judge Gary Wade, now he's in the news media, and they present these people as wonderful people. They're so great and awesome. No, they're not. I'm being sarcastic. Judge Gary Wade, former Supreme Court, unjustice, highest court in the state of Tennessee. I'm calling him out for what he is. He's not a just. He wasn't a just judge. He's a creep. He's a dirtbag. He's not one to be honored. He got a lot of student loan money. He's not paying it back. He's not going to pay it back. And some of these people are very difficult to pass. I'm not even filming them, but the dirty looks that I get are pretty sickening and pathetic. So, best just to ignore some people. But Gary Wade retired from the bench, and he's supposed to be over some parks doing wonderful things for the state of Tennessee. And I wonder how he sits down, because his billfold's so full. And I wonder how many starving children he passes that they won't even let him have a Coke and a candy bar, because they've sold it that poor people are the problem and rich people don't steal. And I'm telling you, they do. And I'm telling you how, directly tie it together, unless you want to keep living in a world where there's bridges that don't have the money to fix, and that one judge has the money to fix that from the money just in his back pocket. I'm telling you, it's not the poor people you need to worry about. It's the people in power and authority. It happens all over the United States of America. That's the truth. Nobody says this. Why? Because they will kill you. They will put you in jail. They will assassinate you. They won't do it themselves. They'll pay somebody else to. They will ruin your character. There's more than one way to destroy somebody. Say, oh, they're no good. He had a restraining order or order of protection by his sister. Yeah, by her rogue husband, and I never threatened either one of them. It's a dirty lie. They try to destroy somebody that speaks against them. You get it? They write opinions that's propaganda that's false. They don't tell you that I got 3 sisters that testified in court I did nothing wrong, that there was no need for that. But the court says that because they want to put it out all over the press, because I'm speaking against their thievery. That, don't listen to him. He can't even get along with his sisters. Yeah, I can. That's not true. That's a lie. I can't get along with judiciary in Tennessee because they're thieves, and you won't get along with them either. Now, they'll smile at you while they're taking your money. Write it into law that they find you guilty so they can get your money. They're stealing trillions of dollars. The problem in America is the judiciary in the state of Tennessee. And unlike they say Trump provided no evidence, I'm going to provide you evidence. Charles Van Morgan says that with evidence. Powerful, truthful evidence. You're at risk, all over the United States, because of the judiciary in the state of Tennessee. I'm allowed to say that, First Amendment. I'm not saying for you to hurt them. I'm not telling you lawless, intimate action. I'm not saying that. I'm saying go vote. They don't want me to say that. They don't want me to tell you the truth, why you shouldn't vote for these people, why you should call people from California. Say, y'all laugh at us, quit stealing our money, Tennessee. And we got Mr. man that's met his wife when she was 17, campaigning all across the state of Tennessee. I'll call him out for it. That's a little weird. I mean, you know, I don't know what happened. I know it doesn't pass the smell test. So yeah, almost 300 people in here. And almost 300 people. Thank y'all. So like, share, and comment. So we're going to tell you about the Tennessee judiciary. Names, dates, and places. And how they rig stuff so they get rich. And it's a $1 trillion industry. And that's the easy part of it. The worst part of it, that's the good part of it. They're stealing trillions of dollars. That sounds pretty bad. That thief stole $1 trillion. But that's the good part of it, because it's much worse than that. They're getting death warrants. People never been to the state of Tennessee. They're getting money from all over the United States that they don't deserve. Trillions of dollars. And that's the good part of the evil that they're doing. That's the least of your worries. They're getting death warrants for you. I mean, that's amazing. And I'll give you evidence. It's not without evidence. I'll give you some evidence. Hang on. We'll get into this. Nobody says it. I'll say it. While I look out for maybe getting run over by a car because they can't even control the roads. Can't get drunk drivers off the road. 3 people died, 2 on a sidewalk right here in Knoxville, less than about 2 miles from this very location on Broadway. It's dangerous to be in Tennessee. Wow. It's dangerous to be in Tennessee. Don't come to Tennessee. Stop sending your money via tax money from Tennessee. And how do you do that? Well, it's real simple. You call people in Tennessee and tell them, vote for Charles Van Morgan, vote these people out of office. Listen to the truth. Wow, almost 300 people. Thank you. God bless y'all. So we're going to give you the facts and evidence today of the dirty Tennessee judiciary. Now let me give you the worst part first. The worst part is that they're killing you. They get a death warrant for you. If you've never been to Tennessee, don't worry about it. They'll come and get you, bring you back here to Tennessee, charge you for a crime, for a murder that happened in Tennessee, even though you couldn't have done the murder, you weren't ever here. So LaRae Johnson later changed his name to Nadine Olushimana. He was convicted in 1985 for the murder of a Memphis grocery store manager and spent 19 years on death row. He was never in Tennessee. He was in St. Louis. So they reached out from St. Louis and brought him back to Tennessee, charged him with a crime that was committed in Tennessee, although he wasn't never here. The conviction was based on a palm print lifted from a getaway car. So you drive a car in another state, your palm prints are in the car, you get out of that car comes to Tennessee, they'll charge you with a crime. It was later revealed police never lifted a print from that part of the car, and a print examiner's report never even report that Johnson's prints did not match was hidden by the prosecution. After over 15 years of advocacy, the Innocence Project and Clary Gitlib, his conviction was overturned in 2012. He was freed after pleading no contest to lesser charge for time already served. So, a case where he was never in Tennessee. And they charged him with a crime. So if you're in another state, you ought to be concerned about what's going on in Tennessee. I'm asking people from other states, all over the United States of America. They might come and get you from another country. I don't know. What I'm saying is they went and got somebody from another state, St. Louis, that never came to Tennessee, that they allegedly had his palm print, drug him back to Tennessee and charged him and tried to kill him, put him on death row. Johnson's family provided his defense lawyer. More than 25 people who were at the party vouched for his whereabouts. 25 people witnessed the day of the murder. He wasn't in Tennessee, he was in St. Louis. His attorney failed to interview most of his witnesses. Despite the 6 witnesses backing up his claim that he was never in Tennessee, the prosecution countered with a cousin who claimed she saw him in Memphis, an eyewitness who pretty sure identified, and there's disputed that. So they'll come to another state and get you, even if you've never been here. So call people in Tennessee and tell them to vote this establishment out. The Tennessee Supreme Court issued a death warrant for him, even though witnesses said he had never been here. He said he'd never been here to Tennessee. Gave him a death warrant. So that's the worst part of it, is they will come and get you from another state. For your family, your friends, call people in Tennessee and say, vote this Tennessee Supreme Court justice is out of office. They're gonna kill us. They'll get a death warrant for us. That's not extreme. They say Trump alleged stuff without evidence. There's evidence. The evidence is Mr. Johnson. And his prints didn't match the print that they even found. And the prosecution withheld that. So they don't have to have the truth. They'll come to another state and drag you back to Tennessee and get a death warrant for you. The judges in Tennessee. Tennessee Judiciary issued a death warrant for that man. Never been to Tennessee. So they'll kill you in Tennessee. That's the worst part of it. Now let's talk about the $1 trillion, which is the lesser of the evil. They're stealing trillions of dollars from you. Trillions and trillions of dollars. The judiciary in Tennessee in the form of student loan tax money. And we will tell you how they're doing that. Students pay money to go to law school in the state of Tennessee. These judges retire from the bench. We got a lot of good stuff to tell you. Hang on board. These judges retire from the bench. Every law student in America who takes out a federal loan, that money doesn't disappear. It goes somewhere. And today's show, I'm going to tell you where it goes. Tennessee Supreme Court justices retired, still getting paid off your tax dollar and out-of-state dollars too. So the lady on the campaign trail that asked me what I thought about the student loans, about helping students pay back their loans, lowering some of it in some cases, lowering the interest rate, and providing some form of relief to the students who borrowed the money, who are in default or having trouble paying it back. I said, and I still say now, she disagreed with me because she said, I got a federal student loan tax loan and I paid it back, and every student should have to. And I still told her, I think that we should go after the people where the money's at, try to claw it back from these rich, powerful judicial, former retired Supreme Court justices, get it from them. That's where the money goes. You have to follow the money to fruition. And I still stick to that. That's where the money's at. So even if you live in California, your tax money is in the hands of the former Tennessee Supreme Court justices. Hello, young lady. Hello, I won't put her on camera. A young lady yelling at me. So yeah, I got some fans out here, even little children. The money chain, numbers, plain language. The federal student loan debt in America right now is $1.67 trillion. Remember, this is the least of the dirty Tennessee Supreme Court judiciary. They'll get a death warrant for you. We're just talking about money here. Nothing's worth your life. But this is a major problem that needs to be dealt with. If you're so simple-minded that you think, I paid back my student loan, so every student should, then you'd be wrong. You got to think about your fellow Americans that aren't in the same income group and don't have the same friends that you do, and you're in the upper echelon group. A lot of people that go to law school, if they know somebody, they don't even have to pay for the law school. You're talking about people that don't know people that have to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, quite literally. That's who has the student loan debt. And they can't pay it back. They no longer have the money, and the state won't allow them to practice law to compete with them. It's $1.67 trillion. And the students don't have it. They can't even practice law, some of them. Graduate and professional borrowers, law students included, carry roughly half of all that debt. $1.67 trillion theft by the judiciary in the state of Tennessee. That's where the money's at. It's in the pockets of former Tennessee Supreme Court justices. They're already rich, off the bench, retired, and then they put their name on a door and get a large part of $1.67 trillion. Average law school debt is $112,000. So they owe $112,000, can't get a law license. They say they're not honest. They were honest enough to go to school to pay them, but when they're going to compete with them, they're not honest enough. And then taxpayers are out, because that's where that money ultimately comes from. It's guaranteed by your tax money. Your tax money ain't going out. That's why they know they can get unlimited amounts of it. Keep raising law school tuition, because the tuition goes in their back pocket. Average law school debt at graduation over $112,000. And if you count undergraduates, about $160,000. Here's the change. Student borrows federal money, like me, other students. Pays it to the law school as tuition. I don't have any of that money. I paid to get knowledge that I can't make money off of. Schools use the tuition to pay salaries, including the dean. The dean's salary is the highest. So that's where your student loan money is, in the pockets of the deans. Who's the deans? That's not my opinion. That's how the money moves. That's not opinion. That's how the thing goes down. Who's cashing in the money? Now we're going to mention name. William C. Coke Jr., former Tennessee Supreme Court Justice. Now he made a case law while he was a Tennessee Supreme Court Justice, a torts case law, and you don't have to understand it, but the case is tried in the state where his formula is the most significant relationship test. They make tests in case law in law school. You learn that if you go to law school. You don't have to know that. But when a tort crime, which is an injury, happens, you can sue somebody that caused the injury negligently. You can prove it's negligent if you can prove the 5 elements: duty, breach, causation, and damages. If you can prove those elements, then you can sue somebody for damages that they did to you for the injury. And if a crime happens across multiple states, where do you try it at? Do you try it in Georgia? Do you try it in Tennessee? There's a kayaking accident where a student was trained in Tennessee. Judge Coke decided this. Trained in Tennessee to scuba dive. And then I think he went to Georgia and scuba dived and ended up dying in Georgia because of negligence he alleged the school and a lot of other people. His family sued because he's dead. And the decision in the court was, where do you try this case at? You try it in Georgia where the accident occurred? You try it in Tennessee where he was wrongly trained, they allege? And Judge Coke said, you try it where The case has the most significant relationships. Well, Judge Cope, I got a significant relationship with you. I have an opportunity to adjudicate this, and you said what you want to say. I know what you think. He testified against me in me getting my law license, although I paid him. So he took the money and then told him not to give me my law license because he campaigned for Tennessee justices and I campaigned against them. So he's the one that made that test the most significant relationship. So I have a significant relationship with Judge Coke. I paid him a lot of money to get educated. I can't use the money now. And he's got federal student loan money. You have a significant relationship if you pay tax money, because he's a dirty judge. He shouldn't be the dean of National School of Law. I'll say that's what I think. He should be investigated and possibly put in jail. Got out of his BMW, maybe from his rich house with a warrant, and put in the jailhouse. That's what I think about him. I'm allowed to say it's First Amendment. And the judges that he promotes, he goes out and campaigns for judges. Say, vote for my buddies, vote for my buddies. You know, the ones that are retiring and taking your federal student tax money, vote for them. But I'm not allowed to say, I don't think you should vote for them because I think they're stealing your money. I think you ought to vote all these Supreme Court justices out of office instead of the ones appointed by the governor who rule for him, that you ought to vote them out and appoint a governor who will appoint judges that adjudicate for Tennesseans. That's called politics. Should be allowed to do that. But you're not allowed to do that in Tennessee. I don't have a First Amendment right because I'm telling you the other side. This is how powerful this stuff is. I don't have a right to say this because I'm telling you the other side. They want to act like, oh, we're wonderful, glorified. I'll serve society as a Tennessee Supreme Court justice, adjudicate the most significant relationship test, and I'll use his own rule. I've got a significant relationship with him. I got a relationship where he stole my money and won't let me practice law. Now, that's a kind of a relationship. I know him. He's not a good man. He's a dirtbag crook, in my opinion. And took my money and then tried to prevent me from getting a law license. Presents himself as something he is not. So, former Coke, retired 2014, same year dean of National School of Law, still dean. So they retire from the bench and take jobs at high-paying law schools. Compensation roughly $266,000 a year. He's been there since 2014. Imagine how much money he's made. Now, I don't make that much money. I have student loan debt I got to pay back, but I don't have the ability to pay it back as easily had he fulfilled his obligation and allowed me to practice law. Gary Wade, and that's not the only one. Tennessee justices are still in tax money. That student loan is federally insured. That means you insure that money. If I can't pay it back, and I'm paying back mine, a lot of students can't, then you pay it back. They don't have to pay back the money that they took. Former Chief Justice Gary R. Wade, Tennessee Supreme Court, retired 2015. Same year, Dean of Lincoln Memorial University Duncan School of Law in Knoxville. Served until 2020. And now somebody that he knows is the Dean of the Law School. So, these former Tennessee Supreme Court justices, living off your tax money, making the most significant relationship test. I've got a significant relationship. I know these people. So I'll use their test. It's adjudicated by where you have a significant relationship. They have a significant relationship with me. I spent 7 years of my life getting through law schools. A lot of people do. And then they rob you of your law license. All the time you thinking, they'll give me my law license. All I have to do is based on my ability to pass tests. No, it's not. Give me your money. Yeah, you're good enough to come in here and give me money. But after you're out of their hands and you're not going to pay them anymore, in fact, you're going to compete with them. No. Let taxpayers pay it back if you can't. That's fine with me. My barns are filled with your tax money. California, New York, they make fun of you. The governor makes fun of you in New York. He said, if you're a business in New York, they believe in socialism, come down here to Tennessee. The Christian governor, Bill Lee, come to Tennessee. Yeah, right. Tennessee's full of socialism, and everybody in the United States of America pays free money to Tennessee judiciary. You ever heard that before? That's the truth. And I'm telling you with the evidence. So Gary Wade, Judge Cope, retire from the bench, get student loan money. Now, Judge Coke doesn't directly, but indirectly, a lot of students have former student loans from other schools that they've transferred to his school. I did. And he gets student money, poor student money, and denies them law license when he allows them in their school. And then he writes bad stuff about them so they can't even practice law and get a law license. Why didn't he not let them in his school? He let them in his school because it's about the money that goes in his back pocket. $1 trillion industry. So same year he left the Supreme Court, he went right down here. You can almost see the school from here. About 200-300 yards from here, where Gary Wade sat and collected thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year of student tax money, of student federal loan money. Former Supreme Court Justice Gary Wade, same year he retired, went to school, collected student loan money from California to New York people. New York people call Tennesseans, tell them, hey, stop stealing our money, vote these people out. I can't vote down there, you vote for me. They're stealing your money, educate them. Everybody in the whole United States of America has a stake in elections in the state of Tennessee. You have a stake in the governor's race. Now they're telling you the establishment line of bullshit. I'm a CEO, I know how to run things. Yeah, they know how to steal money, cover it up, make yourself rich. And every taxpayer in the United States of America has a stake in Tennessee elections. Some of the most serious fraud legalized comes from the state of Tennessee, people in government power that are elected. So call people in Tennessee. You have a stake in the governor's race. I'd stop that stuff immediately. Investigate these highfalutin people that think they're too good to go to jail. And we got a lot to tell you about these highfalutin people after they get on the bad side of somebody for some reason. LMU Duncan takes federal student loan money. Direct loan chain applies here. NSL does not participate in the federal loan money directly, but they do in students that leave other schools, and they do in poor students' payments to the school. Students still bring loan money to NSL from their own federal balances and other borrowing. That's a different point, but still valid. And not only do they take deanships and take federal student loan money, get on as deans of colleges, and take hundreds of thousands of dollars in salaries every year. Some of them never even come to the school. They just have their name on the door. They mail them a debit card for using their name. Former Supreme Court Justice gives them clout. And they never even come to the school, probably. And not only do they do that, they retire from the bench. William Mercer Barker, a former Chief Supreme Court Justice of Tennessee, great almighty, I mean, you know, they don't even smell good. They don't even pass the smell test. He retired from the bench. Now, while he did not get on as a dean of a law school, he got on as a judge of the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. William Mercer Barker. And if y'all think I'm a toy, people think, oh, we can run over him. You better think again. I'm not violent or dangerous in that sense, but I am very truthful, which is very dangerous to dishonest people. I'm not afraid of them. I learned those lessons growing up without a father in South Knoxville. You don't run from a bully, you punch him in the face, symbolically. So if you think I'm a toy, I sued Mr. William Barker. I sued, literally in federal court, a former Tennessee Supreme Court injustice for doing me wrong. He violated my constitutional federal civil rights. So I'm not a toy. And I didn't chase him down the street like one of the TBL members tried to do to me. I handled it appropriately, and I handle things appropriately. They say I don't. I'm saying that they don't handle things appropriately. They steal from you. I don't steal from people. They steal from you. They don't want me saying that. Well, get up on your writings and say the alternative. They can't say the alternative. They steal people's federal student loan money, both as law school deans after retirement, and they get jobs in the government sitting on the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners where they deny people's law license. And they literally say that I did wrong by suing them, by suing Mr. Barker. Why? Because he's too good to be sued. Now, you're not too good to be sued. You are not too good to be sued. They'll sue you. They have law offices. They sue people every damn day. They're lawyers. They sue people. Perfectly acceptable for them to sue people all across America. They have at it. They don't even care if it's true or not, their lawsuit. They're just trying to get money from you. You know, they're lawyers. What kind of good name do they have? I'm just telling you. Mr. Barker had a law office. Now, fortunately, he didn't die of violence. He would wished I would die of violence because he's a dangerous, violent man, I think. Fortunately, he didn't die of violence, but fortunately, he's dead now. He cannot suck off Tennesseans anymore, but his name still goes on as a good person, a good name. He's not a good, I met the man personally. I've seen him in my hearing. He's a dirtbag liar. He's a fraud. He shouldn't have been Supreme Court Justice. He should have been in jail for some of the things he does. He steals your money. Now, people don't say that. Do you ever hear this anywhere else? Look on the news today. Type in his name. He'll be on Channel 6, Channel 8 in Knoxville, and they'll be talking about what a wonderful man, Tennessee Supreme Court Justice. In the past, when he was still alive, not a wonderful man. I've talked to him toe to toe. He is a fraud. He defrauded me out of money, saying that I wasn't candid while he's sitting right next to somebody that's committing a felony of deception, stealing your money in another way, calling me not honest. For something that happened while I was out on the road trying to keep pedestrians from getting run over, risking my own life. Well, I got to tell you something, Mr. Barker. While it is very good you didn't die a violent death, it is good you're off the planet. Thank the good Lord in heaven. Now, that's people think Trump's goes after his political enemies. I'm going to teach him a few things. He's never said anything about his political enemies that are deceased. I will. It's an appropriate thing to do. As you look at the beautiful view, it's an appropriate thing to do. So we got a lot to tell you. Hang on board here. Almost 300 people still. Like, share, comment, and contribute to the show if you can. Help me get this message out against the dirty, violent, dangerous Tennessee judiciary. Significant relationship, Judge Koch. How do you like it? Now, he didn't like me passing out flyers against him. Put that in part of the reasoning they won't give me my law license for political campaigning against the judiciary. Well, it's America. You should be able to do that, but you can't. He campaigns for them. I'll campaign against him and against the judiciary. What's wrong with that? That's perfectly Christian, turning over their money tables that are making money off the innocent public that don't know what the hell's going on. I'll tell you what the hell's going on. They're stealing tax money from Tennesseans and from people all over the United States of America right here in Tennessee, and their bank, that's a student loan fraud. So, Mr. Barker, I sued him. I put my allegations in a federal civil rights complaint. Signed my name to it under penalty of perjury. It was dismissed based on a technicality. Now, we talked about technicalities the other day where they can shoot you from the end of their driveway as long as they're in the property and as long as they don't shoot you from the back with a high-powered rifle while they say you're attempting to go on the property. Technically, they can do that, even though later they find out that you weren't attempting to go on their property, so they get out of stuff by the technicality. If you think it goes to the merits, well, I'm right, I'll win, they'll beat you on the technicality. And they dismissed my case based on a technicality, but you can read my accusations, they're in there. It wasn't adjudicated as a frivolous lawsuit because it wasn't. What I'm saying now is not frivolous. This is to protect you at my own risk. Pray that God will protect me. I hope he does. I don't know. I'd rather tell the truth and go with it, and I take measures to protect myself. I'm not a toy. I worked the road for 18 years and survived. I can survive these punks and thugs and thieves. So Mr. Barker wouldn't let me practice law, although he had a law office suing people every day. They wrote in their opinion that they won't give me my law license because I sued them, although you can't sue them, but they sue you every day. See the different standard there? So they told me not to do it, so I did it again. Straightened out my legal suit to comply with what's allowable under their rules, and it's a legitimate legal suit that's on a federal judge's desk right now. And I don't know whether I win or lose. I know that I throw the legal punch every time. That's the right way to handle it. That's a Christian way to do. Violence is unacceptable to me. It's not unacceptable to these people. I'm telling you, it's not unacceptable for them to rape, rob, and get a death warrant for you when you never even come to the state of Tennessee. That's your judiciary in the state of Tennessee. So when they're up for re-election, the retention election, ain't got nobody on the other side telling you this stuff. Remember that. And then if you don't listen to me, when you're paying your tax dollars, that's where it's going, in the pocket of Mr. Baker's inheritance, and in the pocket of Judge Koch, and in the pocket of former Supreme Court unjustices, Gary R. Wade. Now, the news media brags highly of him. I'm not going to. Hello, I'm not going to, because it wouldn't be true. They campaigned against me in legal rulings with the appearance of legitimacy under facts that are scientifically couldn't happen. Put lights on where they're not on. Let people commit fraud and perjury. That's what they do. So, same year he sat on the board, he was also a paid practicing attorney of counsel at a Chattanooga firm until 2021. Morgan versus Barker, 2019. He's the one who turned down my law license in his court, turned down my law license. And I sued him. And they said because I sued them, because I was trying to get my law license, I wasn't part of their entourage, that because I'm honest, they wouldn't give me my law license. And they won't give you yours either, and they won't give you your rights. And they're the judges in Tennessee of what your rights are. Here's your rights, you have none. And they have all the rights. And they have a right to your money. They have a right to your tax money. No, they don't. Same year, he was also paid practicing attorney of counsel at a Chattanooga firm until 2021. A sitting board member judging who gets to compete with him in his firm. Files lawsuits every day, but they wrote it in their opinion, I can't have my law license because I sued him. So they can sue you, you can't sue them, or you don't get a law license. Wow, really? And it wasn't even adjudicated as a frivolous lawsuit. I can understand if it was a frivolous lawsuit, because you're filing frivolous lawsuits, you don't get your law license. It wasn't adjudicated as frivolous. It was on a technicality that I have corrected, and we'll see how it flies today. They told me not to sue. If I'm right under God, I have a right to the Constitution and my constitutional rights, I'll sue you again. You're mocking and waterboarding me. Ain't gonna work. You picked the wrong dog to fight. You're fighting all the Tennesseans now, all people all across the United States of America. Get on board, like, subscribe, and share. Let's go after these people politically. They're coming after you. They got your money every day. How's your roads? How's your bridges? How's your hospitals? They don't have the money to fix them. It's $1 trillion bill in your pocket that takes resources away, that's going into their fancy drunken lifestyles and their big cars, and then they even support their family and friends off your tax money. Keep voting them in. They love it. They'll go against every lone wolf that tries to truthfully, politically attack them and try to hurt me physically. One of the board members tried to chase me down the road. Fortunately enough, he didn't catch me because he wouldn't have liked what he got a hold of, because he's a little bit deceptive of his own self. So, who's cashing in? William Koch Jr., Gary Wade, Mercer Barker. These all people are cashing in. The three-way overlap. Harbison, William L. Harbison. He's cashing in too. He was an instructor in contracts at Nashville School of Law. So I was paying him money to get the contracts class, to take the contracts class. And I passed the contract. He was one of the worst professors there. I mean, just a total babbling, full of himself idiot. And I wondered why he had such a good opinion of himself. And they present themselves as good people. They're not good people. And they want everything. As long as you're giving them money at your demise, you could be starving to death and they want your money. They're out here worse than a bum. Bill Harbison, contracts class. If you don't think I'm into contracts, a contract is offer, acceptance, and consideration. A lot of people claim they've been to law school and they graduated and passed the bar, and ask them if they say that. Ask them what the most secure ownership of property is that trumps all other ownership of property. They're going to know now. You have to answer another question. I always ask that when people say, I went to law school, I graduated, I'm a lawyer. No, they didn't. There's a political candidate that claimed he went to law school and graduated. And said he was an unlicensed lawyer. No, he wasn't. Never went to law school. Because he filed lawsuits on his own, and a bailiff that wasn't a lawyer either said that he wrote better briefs than most lawyers, so he's an unlicensed lawyer because of that. No, he didn't spend 7 years in law school, pay over $160,000, learn the law. He learned the law as he's seen it. A lot of people say they're lawyers. If they say they are, I would ask them this one question. I'll have to make up a new one now. What's the best ownership of property that trumps all other forms? It's called fee simple absolute. They can tell you that, maybe they went to law school. If they don't know that, they probably didn't go to law school. I mean, it's not regular language. Legal language is not normal language that you speak. There's a legal language that things mean something different than they do in everyday life. If you've been to law school, you'll know what they mean. If you haven't been to law school, yet you don't know what the language means. It doesn't mean that you're not as smart. It just means that going to law school is like going to another country. It's another culture. It's another language for the most part. There's words that mean something significant, different than what you would in everyday language. It has a legal term. So, Bill Harbison, in my contracts class, also a member of the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. So he's getting money from law school students, poor law school students, got my money, poor law school student, working my way through law school. And he's also on the board that decides whether or not you get a law license to compete with him. Because he's not now, but was, when my application was being processed, he was my law school professor in contracts, worst professor there, babbling idiot, arrogant as hell, thinks he's better than everybody, the whole world, and I'll tell you why. I figured out. He is on the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners, so he's collecting money from students, and I had to pay him my contracts class, offer, acceptance, and consideration. It's a contract. I had to pay him money to apply to get my law license. So he's getting money from both places from me. And he also has a law firm. He's a lawyer. I'm saying something about a lawyer. Let him sue me. I ain't got nothing. I'm judgment proof. I guess if I ever get rich, he could sue me later in a Tennessee courtroom. He'll probably win. A Tennessee court will adjudicate in his favor every damn time. Doesn't matter what the truth is. It's not defamation. This is the truth. He was, in fact, a law school dean at the school I went to. I paid money for the class. He got paid to teach the class. He's on the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. I paid the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners to apply for my law license. They turned me down. He was on the board. And he was, I think, the vice president, or might have been president. So he's getting money. He has a law firm. So I was good enough to go through his law school where he taught the class to pay him money. I was good enough to apply for my law license where some of the money went in his pocket for him and his son, who's also a lawyer. I bet he didn't have any problem getting a law license. But when it comes to giving me my law license where I would compete with this law firm, no. You pay back that federal student loan money that's in my pocket for the most part by proxy. And thank you for paying me to turn you down. I appreciate it. I'm giving some to my son so he can go to strip clubs, which is what he did. But he's got a law license and I don't. National School of Law, professor of contract, 17 years, active participating attorney, litigator right now today. But I can't compete with him. But it's all right for me to go to his law school. I was good enough to go to law school and pay him, but I'm not good enough to compete with him. Well, I'm prosecuting him right now, saying that it's a facade, he's not a good man. How am I doing? I personally paid National School of Law tuition for the contracts class, tuition funded in part by my student loan. He sat on the board that denied my law license. So I'm prosecuting. I'm telling you, he's not what people in power say he is. He's part of the clique. You know why? Because his relative was a former Tennessee Supreme Court justice. They're all good in their own minds, and they put it out to you that they are while they're taking your money. You're real good while you're giving them money worth $1 trillion. I don't think that's very good to steal trillions of dollars from people. Judge, professor, competitor, all at once, all paid. Now, you don't hear this on CBS, ABC, or NBC, do you? This is a prosecuting attorney, unlicensed, prosecuting these people. How do you like it? How do they like it? They don't like it. It's called the First Amendment. Soldiers died for my right to speak the truth. It's not defamation. It's true. I'm not inciting imminent lawless action. I'm telling you to vote these people and their entourage out of office. I do. I'm asking you to, offering that to you. Perfectly legitimate and legal and very Christian. Let's turn over the money changers' tables. I'm trying to turn it over. I bet they don't like it. I know they don't. I don't care. I'm right here. They know where I'm at. I'd advise them not to chase me down. Bad shit happens to people when they mess with, I got a right to defend myself, and I damn sure will. I don't give a who it is. You're not going to kill me under the name of I'm a judge. I'll defend myself. Quite frankly, you try to hurt me, I'll knock the hell out of you. You'll wake up next week, if at all. Harbison is a lawyer who said he supports, apparently with my money, his son in law school class. So he's taking my money to give his son a law license that goes to strip joints that apparently doesn't work, and I can't even get my law license to support my family and a lot of Tennesseans. The board has no rules against this. The Tennessee Board of Law Examiners has no formal conflict of interest policy. Their own words from a 2019 legislature hearing, funded entirely by application fees. People pay them money to turn them down if you're not in the right entourage with them. If you're not in power, your daddy or mama wasn't former Supreme Court justice. That's the way they set it up. They set it up in their favor. Trillions of dollars of tax money. I paid the translation, I paid them twice. The board that turned me down and was funded by my own money applying twice. No outside check, no state oversight. Money, just fees from the people they judge. Pretty good setup they got there, don't it? The national pattern, this isn't just Tennessee. North Carolina retired Justice Patricia Thomas Goodson became Dean of North Carolina Central Law School. California retired Justice Harlem Dehandina, Dhanidina, become Dean of Western State College of Law. Same playbook, different state, same question everywhere. Who's watching the gatekeepers? Why California should care too, New York, all across the United States. If you're a tax money, get on the phone, call somebody in Tennessee, tell them what the hell's going on and say, vote them out. They're making you pay too. And the establishment won't tell you this stuff because they get privileges and benefits from the judiciary. They rule in their favor. Why California should care too. California carries the largest state share of federal student loan debt in the country, over $1.57 billion, and a lot of it goes right into the pockets of Gary Wade, Dean Cope, the family of Mr. Barker, And also, they have the system rigged up where they decide who practices the law. Hello. And deny me and other Tennesseans that aren't in the clique and give their children money, give them law license, give them our money so that they can go to strip joints. California carries the largest share, 1.57 billion, and Tennesseans in power try to put out the propaganda. Don't bring your California to Tennessee, or don't DC our Tennessee. How about Tennesseans step up and quit robbing from DC taxpayers? Politicians don't say that. It's not very political. How about we stop being political and start telling the damn truth? How about the truth? Does that have any value? I think that it does. If you believe me, then like, share, and comment. So yeah, almost 200 people in here like, share, and comment. I think the truth still matters. Federal loans are backed by federal taxpayers that every state, including California, Texas, New York, all of you all, should be concerned about. Because they're stealing your money. Right here from Tennessee. I'll still have over 100 people in here. Thank y'all so very much. So, all of y'all should care about what the hell Tennessee's doing to you. When a Tennessee law student defaults because the TBL denied them a license after profiting off their tuition 4 years, they don't kick you out of law school or tell you not to come to law school. Why? Because you're paying them money going in their pocket. They only deny a law license after you're qualified to be a lawyer because they're stopping competition. That default gets absorbed by the same federal loan system your tax dollars backstop. That's not a Tennessee problem. That's a your money problem. Taxpayer costs, big picture. Right now, 5.3 million borrowers in default. 117 billion in federal loans. Now, I'm not in default of my federal loan. Right now, it's very difficult because I don't have the license to practice law to recover the money. But they have the license to practice law. While they're stealing your money in more ways than one. The same repayment plan alone was projected to cost taxpayers over $342 billion over 10 years. Federal deficit last year, 1.8 trillion interest on the debt alone, topped 1 trillion for the first time ever. This is what this is costing you, going in the pockets of these rich people. That's where your tax money's costing. That's why we got a federal deficit, not because of one criminal that steals money. Now, they had a man that went in one of the stores down here. They have a tip jar, and went in one of the stores down here, grabbed the tip jar and ran off, and a policeman was asking me if I seen anything. And I told him I didn't. That's a worthless thug stealing hard workers' tip money and should be caught. And he probably maybe got $150, $200 out of the tip jar for the day. But these judges, former Supreme Court judges, the judiciary in Tennessee, stealing trillions, billions. Wow, that's much more serious. But they don't focus on that. Don't look at our crime. It's the students that we won't give a law license to that are having to default because we're thugs. Every dollar that doesn't get repaid because the system is rigged against the borrower, everybody's mad at the student. Follow the money to the fruition. Gary Wade's got it in his pocket. That's a dollar you cover. So you're covering for their legalized fraud. Let's stop this cover up. If you're in Tennessee, I'm on the governor's ballot, I'll stop this stuff. Some of these people will go to jail. Vote the Tennessee Supreme Court out of office. I will end the conflict of interest. I will demand that TBL adopt real conflicts of interest rules. If you're not in Tennessee, call Tennessee and tell Tennesseans to vote for me, Charles Van Morgan, or vote the judiciary out if you don't like me. Your tax dollars are tied up in the state's broken system, whether you live here or not. They started this. I know how to finish it. So let's talk about, now this is a picture. The joke's on you. Now this is the former sheriff here in Knox County. Now he got out of power, swearing on the Bible to uphold the Constitution, fulfill his oath of office when he got sheriff of Knox County, Tennessee. And swearing on the Bible. Former sheriff of Knox County, ran again. And now he's out of power. Been out for a long time. If he was still in power, I'll bet he wouldn't even been charged. Now it is alleged, he's not been convicted, he's been charged with stealing seizure money, money that is taken from criminals, the proceeds of drug money. And they take that money and are supposed to use it for fighting drug abuse because it kills people. So they've made the law to where if you are in the business of selling illicit, illegal drugs, then the government, that police agency, when it stops you, can take the proceeds, the money you made from selling the illegal drugs, and put it in a fund in Knox County Sheriff's Department that's safe there, right? Safer than at a bank. Won't be no robber charging the Sheriff's Department stealing that money, right? Well, think again, just like judges in Tennessee, honest judges adjudicating, there won't be nobody stealing tax money. Honest judges are over it. Yeah, maybe the honest judges are the ones that are stealing it because they're not honest. He's swearing on the Bible. Kind of humorous to me, swearing on the Bible. That Bible's powerful. It means something. It's the holy word of God, tried in the furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Now, allegedly, he's not been convicted. He may not have done anything wrong. I know he's swearing on the Bible, and he's been accused of stealing that seizured money, the proceeds of drugs, to repair his toilet at his house. Now, is the toilet that was spent on drug money still there? I mean, we might need that to bring that as evidence to the courtroom. So kind of comical to me. What's not comical is the fact that these people, some of the seizure money, and I could care less if he gets the toilet good. I mean, I had to pay for my own. You can pay for their toilets. This is how sick these people are. And duck blinds and their fancy cars that you can't afford. It's the government. It's gone to hell, I'm telling you. We're in a war zone in the state of Tennessee in America today. I'm not saying we don't have a good president. I mean, he's a convicted felon by the adjudicated. I don't believe that for 10 seconds. That's why I know he's a good president. That's why I voted for him, because he's a convicted felon. If people in the establishment don't like you, you got my vote. Now, I've been arrested, so you ought to have my vote. Wrongly. But he has got his hand on the Bible. Drug money, and we'll cover this. Got some more to cover. Join another show. I got some more powerful stuff. The joke's on us. I mean, we need to laugh at ourselves for allowing this stuff to happen. People in power are robbing you blind, trillions of dollars. They won't give a candy bar and a Coke to a little child. That's the problem. Kids eating candy bar and a Coke. It's okay for the rich kids to eat candy bar and Coke, but the welfare program is all to hell. Yeah, no, it's not. It's the people in power are robbing you blind. I'm telling you, that's the truth. Disagree or not, I know what I'm talking about. God sent me, I believe, in my heart and mind. And so people tell me not to do it. I don't care what you say. I care what God says. I'm telling you the truth about these people. Churches ought to be involved in voting these people out. Overturn the money changers of these robbers, these thieves, these creeps that are raping and robbing America and acting like they're better than us, getting these highfalutin positions and living off of us. While we don't have money to live, don't have decent roads, decent food prices, focusing the attention on the one criminal that runs out of a store stealing maybe $100 when they got trillions in their pockets. So he's swearing on a Bible to uphold the Constitution. Now he's allegedly ripping people off with tax money gotten illicitly allegedly from seizure money. The problem is the seizure money, too, may not have been literal proceeds of crime. The thinking is this: people are making money off crime, off selling drugs. They sell drugs to get cash to live on and to do drugs themselves. So in order to stop that, the thinking is this: we take the money that they make, take out the profit, we give it to the sheriff. The sheriff uses that money to put more patrol officers out there to more enforce the laws to fight crime. So we stop the incentive for them to use that money wrongly by giving it to the sheriff. And the sheriff uses it to fight drug abuse, to fight crime. That's the thinking behind it. But what happens is allegedly in their own system, after he's out of power now, the sheriff is allegedly taking that drug fund and buying himself a commode, duck blinds, fixing their cars, having parties, marriages, and using that drug money for their own personal damn benefit and not fighting crime with it, not fighting drug abuse. They just want the money. They don't care to stop drug abuse. And that's allegedly he's stealing that drug fund money and not putting it back into fighting crime. In fact, they are allegedly fixing their cars on your state dime, you're paying them money to be out patrolling the roads. They're out getting money and then going and fixing their cars and not stopping drug abuse. That's the allegation. Also, follow the money to the fruition and also look where it actually comes from. The student loan program, it comes from students who are good people trying to get educated to protect society. It's trying to get a law degree to defend you in their courtrooms, to protect Americans. But law students are good people. That's where this federal student loan money is coming from, and it's coming from you going to rogue people. So let's follow the money where it comes from as far as the drug seizure money. Now they say it's proceeds from crime. People selling drugs, getting the money, and instead of letting them benefit, they're taking that money, cuts the benefit out of selling drugs, so people won't sell drugs because the state will get it. But let's look at where the money's really coming from, where it's really coming from. In the student loan fraud, it's coming from you and from students going to them. In the drug seizure case, is it coming from the sale of drug proceeds, or is it coming from your inheritance, your rightfully owned money going to him to fix his toy? Let's look at that. I'm saying that drug money is not the proceeds. The forfeiture asset money is not the proceeds of drug money. I'm saying that the drug money is the inheritance and people's honest money that they're stealing, alleging that it's the proceeds of drug money. In a lot of cases, they're stealing your money under the pretext that it's drug money and using it for their own purposes, not putting it back into protecting people from dying from drugs. Now, they always say, Donald Trump alleged this without evidence. And Charles Van Morgan is alleging that the proceeds in the forfeiture asset fund that they're alleging is being stolen by the sheriff, the proceeds from the forfeiture asset fund is not necessarily proceeds from illegal activity. it's your inheritance. They say Donald Trump said that without evidence, and I'm going to show you some evidence that it is. That directly relates to me. Not me stealing your money. Them attempting to victimize me, not thinking that I would put this out in front of coming up on 4 million people. These rogue lawyers that they give a law license to, that are liars. They go into court and argue that your hard-earned money, your hard-earned evidence, is the proceeds of illegal activity when it's not, and steal it, goes to the sheriff, and he buys a commode with it. Now that's what's going on, with evidence. With evidence, not like they said to Trump. I'm going to tell you some evidence. Now listen to this, get this. A case that shows you exactly how civil asset forfeiture works in Tennessee. You're driving down the road, going to work, they'll take your car and your money. They'll take your mother's inheritance from you and say it was the proceeds of drugs. The sheriff needs it to toll it. Now, this is what they're doing. So a Sevier County woman gets pulled over. Police find cash in her glove box. Do you have any money in your pocket? Cash from her own mother's estate, her inheritance. Her mother died. She left her daughter an inheritance. This literally happened in the state of Tennessee. Here's the evidence. The toilet was bought by your mother's inheritance, and they steal it all the time. I think, here's one particular case that involved me, because the same attorney for the state, Joe Bartlett, that argued that I seen a wreck in the middle of the night and passed it up, argued in a similar case that a woman's inheritance was the proceeds of drug money. It was not the proceeds of drug money. It was her inheritance that she earned from her mother's hard work that she gave her after she died. That's where the money was not the proceeds of drugs. It was inheritance money. Joe Bartlett argued that I seen a wreck off the road in the dark, identified it as a wreck. He argued that a woman's inheritance money was drug money. Argued that in court, wouldn't relent. So they take it away, and when the criminal case falls apart, they still refuse to give it back. A Sevier County woman got pulled over by police. Sevier County, a few miles from here. And they found money in her glove compartment, said it's the proceeds of drugs. And she told them, no, that's my mother's inheritance. That's lawful money earned by my mother. And just think what they're doing. Our mother died, and they're taking her mother that wanted her inheritance. You want your children to have what you've got, you will it to them, and then the state comes along and says that's the proceeds of drug and steals it. And they know it's not drug money. It's proven in court of law. It's inheritance money. And Joe Bartlett still continues to try to take that money, knowing damn good and well, because they want your money. They'll lie, cheat, rob, and steal, and he's a licensed attorney in Tennessee, and I'm not. Let's prosecute him. That's what they do. They knew it wasn't drug money and tried to steal it anyway. Kathy Stiltner, Stiltner, civil asset forfeiture case. Same attorney that argued in my case that I saw a wreck off the road, even knowing their own expert witness said, no, that's not true, that's a lie. I got that all over the news now, and he's got a good name out there, doesn't he? Well, let's fix his name for him. Let's fix his name for him, because he's not a good lawyer, he's not a good man, and he's a liar, and you're in danger of them stealing your money. So, July 24th, 2014, Sevierville police officer Michael Medra stops Kathy Stiltner investigating a possible DUI. He arrests her for DUI, searches her car, finds $11,922 in cash in a white envelope in the glove box. Could have just well found $11,922 in cash in your back pocket in your billfold. Same difference. He arrests her for DUI, searches her car, finds that money, and finds some unmarked pills. Right then, he assumes it's drug money, seizes the cash. He finds unmarked pills. I mean, I take glucosamine chlorhydrin, over-the-counter medication to help grow cartilage. And I keep it in my pocket sometimes. It's over-the-counter, it's not illegal narcotic. But he just assumes that it's illegal pills, unmarked, assumes it's drug money, seizes the cash. So you got a pill laying around somewhere, your money's theirs. She told him the truth on his own camera. Told him the truth that it wasn't drug money. And they still took it anyway. They still took it anyway. Officer Mandarin asked her where the money came from. She told him, it's from my mother's estate. The conversation recorded on his own dash camera, admitted into evidence. She wasn't hiding anything. She said it to his face on tape on the spot. Now get this, the pills weren't even drugs. The pills weren't even drugs. Now you think about it, this money is being confiscated off the street for unmarked pills that weren't even drugs, put in a sheriff's department drug fund, seizure fund, that sheriffs are over, that they're allegedly buying a commode with her inheritance money. I mean, I'm alleging they're stealing your money with evidence. In her case, they stole $11,900. The pills weren't even drugs. Those suspicious pills, Officer Mandarin seized, sent to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for testing. Result, non-controlled substance, over-the-counter medication. So got any pills and money? Goes to the sheriff. It's in the sheriff's department. You can trust it. It's good there, right? No robber's going to come in the sheriff's office and steal that money from him. What about the sheriff? Would he steal it? I don't know. It's the allegation now. I know that money was her inheritance. Those pills were not the proceeds of drug sales. That's how they did it. They got a whole racket going on. Come through Tennessee at your own risk, even if you're not guilty of DUI. And they've admitted 22,500 people have been arrested and 0 in their blood, alcohol, and drugs. Zip, none. And they're still saying those were legitimate arrests. They won't even back up when the evidence is there. They don't care about the evidence and proof. They're not guilty of anything. They just want your money. If they get caught, well, there was evidence there. There's evidence, what I'm saying. Non-controlled substance, over-the-counter medication. You don't have to be doing anything wrong. You got any kind of pills, unmarked, or even if they're marked, they say they was mismarked. Mandarin himself testified he had known the pills weren't controlled and that she had proof the inheritance. He would never have sought a forfeiture warrant in the first place. So he testified under oath. The officer did right. He backed up. Come to find out, they weren't drugs, that unmarked. So the money should go back to her. So he testifies under oath and backs up. So you have to give him credit. Everybody thinks officers are bad. It wasn't the officer. He did wrong. He admitted to it under oath. Tell the truth. Not all of them will do that. It was the state attorney, the state lawyer, the state liar. You say, well, he gave it back after he knew. No, he didn't. He tried not to. He still tried to file an appeal, even after he knew what the officer testified to. Joe Bartlett, same Joe Bartlett that got a case through a road courtroom about me falsely. He knew that wasn't true what he was saying. He's a thug. So the proof was right there. Kathy Stiltner, Stiltner, was a beneficiary of her mother, Lena Mae Dockery's estate. She produced a check for $22,401 made out to her by the Sevier County clerk. She cashed it at a Sevier County bank. So she had a little bit of her inheritance in the car and went to the sheriff, and the sheriff bought a commode. Quite frankly, pretty similar to that is a scenario that could happen to you. Driving down the road with money, you better hope that the sheriff has a good commode and doesn't need your money to fix it. Because he's got to have a nice fancy seat and be all comfortable in every way, and even the judiciary. I'm just telling you the facts. This really goes on. Hey, sheriff, you need a commode? We got some money in the drug forfeiture. It's under debate whether or not it's somebody's inheritance, but you're in power, you're wonderful, you're great, and everybody thinks you're great, and we're going to put illegal elements, stack them up like cardboard, and you'll sit fine on your hind in the bathroom. She told the court she kept cash because she didn't use banks. The $11,922 in her glove box, what was left of that inheritance. Document evidence, bank records, a paper trail, real proof. Say, well, that's the end of it. No, it's not. No, it's not the end of it. They don't care about the truth. They don't care that it's your inheritance money. They don't give a damn about your rights. Keep voting for these people. They'll keep doing the same damn thing. All the establishment candidates. Same old song and dance, my friend. You're at risk. If it don't happen today, it might happen tomorrow. Your inheritance money's at risk. Mom and daddy worked all their life. You get the money, or does the sheriff get a brand new pot? Literally, his pot of gold. That's your demise. That's what's going on, I'm telling you. This is with the evidence. They say Donald Trump said that without evidence. Hey, they'll say Charles Van Morgan said that without evidence. No, they forget the dialogue, don't they? Let them listen to the dialogue. I've even sent the news media text messages. Listen to this stuff. You need to report the real truth. The problem isn't the thug that robs a jar full of tip money, although that's a problem they're discussing. The problem is the disgusting judiciary, law enforcement, Joe Bartlett attorney that steals your money through illegal, illegitimate means. That's the damn problem. The problem is the judiciary that steals money from taxpayers all over the United States of America while we can't fix our roads. Got bridges closed down. That's the damn problem with proof. Here's the proof. They taught me how to bring proof, didn't they? How do you like it now, judiciary in Tennessee? How do you like it now, Judge Coke? You taught me how to bring evidence. I got some, boy. I mean, these people think they're better than you. They literally do. They think you owe them your money. They are highfalutin. You should have to pay them tax money to have their name on a door at a law school. And they think that's all right. And maybe it is. They keep getting elected. Go ahead. I'm not voting for them. I don't care if everybody else votes for them. I'm not voting for them. I don't care if nobody else says what I'm saying. I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid of them. I learned better than that. And I believe most Tennesseans aren't. Like, share this channel, and put the truth out. Most Tennesseans aren't afraid of them. I'm showing you with evidence what they do is seize your money. So, even after all that, the pills weren't drugs. The money wasn't the proceeds of drugs. The money was a legitimate legal inheritance. Her mother was deceased, couldn't fight for her, saying that was my money. I wanted it to go to my daughter. It went to the sheriff, who may have bought him a commode. Even after all that, proof, inheritance, bank records, proof from the TBI. Fortunately, TBI lies a lot. Fortunately, after all the evidence, you'd think, well, that's in it. No, the state wouldn't let go. They want your money. They're going to get it. Make it legal. Maybe get out on a technicality. Same attorney tried to steal that lady's inheritance. That's sad. That's sick and pathetic. Same attorney is one that got me wrongfully terminated, increased the fatality rate in Tennessee. He might get hit by a drunk driver himself, made his own life more dangerous. That's how sick and stupid these people are. Even after all that, the state wouldn't let go. Police and the district attorney, right here in Sevierville, a few miles from here. The police and the district attorney did the right thing, dropped the charges, and said, give her the money back. But the Tennessee Department of Safety, a separate state agency, the Tennessee Department of Public Danger, that runs the Tennessee Highway Patrol, a dirty organization. It's a real good lousy noisemaker. The Tennessee Department of Public Danger, a separate state agency, they call it the Tennessee Department of Safety. You know the name of these government institutions, and they've fallen. They're exact opposite of what they say. The Tennessee Highway Patrol is supposed to be out patrolling the highways to make the roads safer. Well, 3 people died on this road just less than 2 miles from here. Where's the highway patrol out stopping that before it happens, arresting drunk drivers? They're going to say that somebody was sick. I bet drugs or alcohol were involved in that. They don't have anybody out arresting people that are under the influence of drugs and alcohol. They're out fixing their cars on your time, fixing old model cars, paying for it out of seizure money gotten from people's inheritance. The state agency, Tennessee Department of Public Danger, otherwise known, code name, Tennessee Department of Safety, a separate state agency, kept fighting in civil court to keep her cash anyway. Joe Bartlett did that. This is civil asset forfeiture. The state doesn't need a criminal conviction. The state doesn't even need to charge you. They can just keep your money and make you prove it's clean. The state's lawyer, Joe Bartlett, attorney, level 4, Tennessee Department of Safety, Tennessee Department of Public Danger, the state's managing attorney pursuing this forfeiture fight. Her own attorney response brief accused the department of continued efforts to steal $11,922 from Kathy Stoltner despite uncontroverted evidence that the funds were derived from a legitimate source. That money has been stolen, obviously, going into a bank account in the county sheriff's departments all across the state of Tennessee. Secure as hell, right? No thief is going to break in there. Maybe the thief's in there. Maybe the thief's in the government agency. You ever thought about that? They're alleging that after the sheriff's out of power, of course. They're charging him almost 10 years after he's out of power. How did that happen? Well, people in power ain't going to get charged with a damn thing. He's made somebody mad. It ain't about the crime. It's about he's made somebody mad. So they'll show him. We'll uncover the crimes that we covered up. Yeah. It's not about the students. It's about the judiciary in Tennessee stealing tax money all across the United States of America. Our own attorney response brief accused the department, the Tennessee Department of Safety, the Tennessee Department of Public Danger, that's what it is, continued effort to steal $11,922 from Kathy Stiltner despite uncontroverted evidence that the funds were derived from a legitimate source. The brief says, there are some attorneys that are good, got a lot of guts. The brief says the department wholly set aside all professionalism to go after this woman's money, even calling the administrative law judge's own ruling against the state's frivolous. An administrative judge already called the department's position frivolous before this appeal even started. So they got a legitimate judge, and there's not very many, to adjudicate, give her damn money back. And Joe Bartlett, the one that pursued my case, he picked a hand-picked attorney, judge in the case against me, that decided fraud and perjury was good. So they've corrected these judges, ruling truthfully, and now they got hand-picked judges that go along with the state, Tennessee Department of Public Danger. So the attorney went, tried to get her money anyway, even knowing he don't care. This is the system, not just one officer. Stoltner's attorney even accused the department of trying to harass him. So the Department of Safety harassing attorneys, yeah, subpoena him his malpractice insurance. That's what Bartlett did. I mean, people that stand up against these people telling the damn truth. Imagine that, an honest attorney, and there are some, not very many. I know one attorney that taught in the Nashville School of Law, taught in an elective class. Very good attorney, very honest man. This is the kind of attorney he went to court, he went to class in a suit and tie one day. And he said, I apologize for wearing a suit and tie. This isn't my normal apparel. I had to go to court today. So he literally apologized, attorney apologizing for wearing a suit and tie. Imagine that. A real person. You don't see that much in attorneys. There are some good attorneys. So Joe Bartlett, the crook that he is, and he's a crook. Sue me. I think I can prove you're a crook. Look what you did. He tried to steal a woman's inheritance money. Tennessee Department of Safety. How crooked is that? And they didn't get by with it this time. They get by with it a lot. Put it in a drug fund money at a sheriff's department, secure at the sheriff's department. What if the sheriff steals it? That's what they're on alleging. What if the judge steals federal student loan money? That wouldn't happen. They're educating people and then denying them the right to compete against them. So, demanding details on a court hearing that had nothing to do with the case. So he started harassing Joe Bartlett. Joe Bartlett, let's tell the truth about him. He's trying to harass me. I'll fight the dirtbag back. He said, well, it's been a long time ago. Yeah, it was just a few months ago. I got my law license turned down while you're a crooked attorney and I can't get mine. But don't worry, they'll steal your money and make it impossible for you to live. Well, I'm not deterred. Your waterboarding ain't working with me, Joe. Now he's retired now, and it doesn't matter. I'll follow him through retirement. And when I read his obituary, it's a better damn world. Although I would never try to kill him, it's a better damn world when Joe Bartlett's not here. Don't try to kill him. Natural causes can't come soon enough for me, if you ask me. Look at what he's doing, what kind of thug he is. I've seen the man, he's a creep. Joe Bartlett, former Tennessee Department of Public Safety attorney, tried to steal somebody's money, knowing. So he went after this attorney that tried to tell the truth. That's what they do. They go after you, tell the truth while they're trying to steal your money. If you call them out for it, they'll go after you, try to get your malpractice money. So Stafford's attorney accused Joe Bartlett, the Department of Safety, same department over the Tennessee Highway Patrol, trying to harass him. You think they've harassed me just a little bit? Yeah, I'm not running. Subpoenaing his malpractice insurance, demanding details on a court hearing that had nothing to do with this case. Why? Not to find the truth, to wear him down, to make fighting for her own money cost more than the money was worth. That's the playbook. Seize first, force you to spend money on a lawyer to prove your own money is yours. Hope you give up. They're hoping I give up. I'm not giving up. The bigger picture. This case became part of the public record fueling Tennessee's policing for profit reform push. Civil asset forfeiture lets the state take your cash, your car, your property based on suspicion alone, and then fight you in separate court just to keep it. That's what they do. That's how they steal your money. So, the bigger picture, it became part of the public dialogue. So this stuff does matter. It matters a lot. No conviction requires, like here, not even surviving a charge. So stop the cover-up. A woman proves with a bank check and a record confession that her money is clean and the state still fights to keep it. That's not law enforcement. That's a shakedown with a badge. And an attorney that's gone rogue that has his law license to steal your money. And I don't have mine because I won't steal your money. I'm Charles Van Morgan. I spent 18 years wearing the badge myself. I know the difference between policing and profiteering. Tennessee deserves a governor who will end that. So thank you all very much for watching the show. Friday or Thursday tomorrow, we'll have another interesting show. Some real compelling stuff about people in government power and how our cities have fallen, drawing a stark contrast between what they say and what they actually do. Thank y'all for joining. We'll see if we got any comments in here. Let's try to get 100 likes. Got about 81 people in here. Let's get it up to over 100. So we've been on here a long time, almost an hour and a half. Let's see if any comments. It ain't just stealing. I thought you went to school and know how to count. My count is no letter, no number. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh wait, I think he's not eligible for it, right? That's why they said for his own money. That's crazy. Jeff Drummond said, hi, hello to Tennessee, but not now. The owner right now. Remember, he used MJ's name while they arrested him. I don't know what you're talking about, MJ. They left out the part where they beat him up and took the vending machine keys. He started working for me. You're talking about Wallace. Legal immigrants get the real estate deals and perfect adult American credit loans. Okay. Any comments you want to put on here right now, I'll be glad to read them and respond. If you want to send some money with it, I'll read your comment. Specifically, that sounds like it was crooked. What out of his bank account is proof? How about MJ coming from work because he has to make a living after they took all his money out of his account, right? Okay, y'all talking about stuff I'm not privy to. Get the feds involved, pretty apparent who the crooks are. Yeah, a federal prosecutor was one that was on the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners that was stealing money, pled guilty to it, so that doesn't help. Feds are involved in a lot of this stuff. New York, new money. Mega, make America great again, that's right. Right, Israel. Guess that's why I'm not aboard. Charles and everyone else. Right, okay, I don't know who MJ is. I thought did all of that. MJ, who's MJ? Wasn't he making a point? His hand on the Bible? Amen. Yeah. Good morning, blessed. Thank you, Mark Gable. You have my vote if you were running in Wisconsin. Amen. Thank you. Call people in Tennessee. Thank you. These people are in power, crooked as hell, lying to you every day, stealing your money, making things difficult on people. They're the distrust in Tennessee. Technically, historical feature was yesterday. Does this guy ever answer questions, or does he just talk to hear himself? Touche. Yeah, okay, I'm answering questions now. What question you want to ask me? My favorite quote from Dewey and Malcolm in the middle: all current judges should be put in prison. A lot of them, hell yeah. The future is now, old man. I'm not an old man, I'm a young man. Your channel says no threats of violence, but I think you just encourage violence in telling us to punch people in the face, metaphorically. That's an oxymoron. When I tell people to punch people in the face metaphorically, for you to say that's violence, that's an oxymoron. That's a statement that is false in its own statement, because metaphorically don't mean to physically punch them in the face. It means to punch them in the face by other means, like telling the truth about them. And there's nothing wrong with punching somebody in the face if they're trying to hurt you. Punch them in the face literally. In self-defense, punch them in the damn face. Nothing wrong with punching people in the face. That's not violence, it's called self-defense. So you're forgetting that you're arguing with somebody who has a legal education, is trained in how to absolve crazy arguments, because I read what you say and analyze it. So maybe you need to go to law school. Think about what you're saying. Thank you for speaking out. You're welcome. It says, Vice President J.D. Vance and a fraud task force, or the Attorney General Todd Blanche, left them know what's going on. Yeah, they're trying. Okay. Yes, I'm the owner of this shit, my own money. I don't borrow from y'all. I spent my own money in here. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So, any comments, we'll answer them. Otherwise, we'll be back on here tomorrow. Let's look at some of the comments from the people that showed up on the show. The first, Modern Caveman 420, Muslims, question mark, I don't know, hello, File 18RO, RC Pilot Trainer, hello, Fall 18RO, how are you? I'm good, thank you. 420, NVM, I was just guessing. You from California? No, I'm from Tennessee. All judges are liars and should be jailed. Hey, I'm not disagreeing with you. You got a point there with evidence. You know, they try to say Donald Trump said this without evidence. They just don't listen to evidence. You got any proof of anything you're going on about the First Amendment but want to crack down on liberal views? The judiciary of Tennessee don't know who you are. Yeah, they do. I guarantee you they do. I guarantee you every damn one of them knows me, and they hate my guts. The future is now, old man. Yeah, it is. Calm down, boomer. Blood pressure going to kill you. No, I don't exercise. Nicholas, proof judges are liars. What does the entity judge and lawyers subscribe to stand for? Nicholas, I realize you weren't talking to me. Federal government is just a college of corporates that couldn't be rich in their country of origin, as the people there fight back, and they are hoping the states become their heaven. Maybe. You may have a point there. Let's get 100 likes up to 85 and we'll get the heck out of Dodge. Trump only listens to judges when he is suing people. You know it's the real Michael Jackson. What's up, Pawpaw? Yeah, I'm not. I'm a young man. Next, red hat next. Okay, you don't like my red hat? Well, I'm gonna put Morgan on the front of it. Morgan, Unbridled News. So, like, share, comment. Thank y'all very much for joining us. Hope you liked the show today. It's the truth. And I pray for you all and your families and your friends. God bless America. God bless Israel. Let's stop this cover up. We'll try to be back on here tomorrow or possibly Friday or next week. I go by the seat of my pants. Try to be unpredictable, probably Friday at 6:45 a.m. Have another great show for you. We're going to talk to you about how the people in government power are at war with us, and you can't trust the government. And we'll bring you proof. It's very dangerous. You know, so we'll get off here. God loves you. I do. I can't love you as much as God does. Trust me, I'm a fallible human, but God loves you. Trust the Lord Jesus Christ. Pray for my friend Marty Nix, and pray for your friends. The Bible says in the book of Job that God changed the path of Job's historic bad things happened to him when he prayed for his friends. So don't pray for his friends because of that, but God could change your bad things in your life when you pray for your friends. God bless y'all. God loves you, and I do too. Until next time.